Good morning to our folks in the US. Good afternoon to our friends in Europe. This is a live webinar you have here on the call. Myself, Mark Mahler, and
Carl Sjöström. Yeah, nice to be here. So, Martin, what do you have in store for the viewers today?
Rocket ships all overboard. So thank you guys for joining. I think you see that in the background colors in the slides. It's a lot of green, and that green relates, I think, to the recognizable green that we all have exposure probably in our daily lives, positively or negatively. But Excel, that's where we're coming from. So today we're very, very happy to share with you some extremely exciting things we've been working on Astrato, have already launched, and are going to launch very, very, very soon around reporting to PDF, Excel, ad hoc, or on a scheduled basis. So today on this call, we have the talented Carl, who will walk through us on a couple of interesting use cases on how to create reports, automated and distributed. So before we start, a couple of the insight of why and how and where we're coming from and why we've built it, what we've built today in Astrato. We all know reporting came from a, is a bread and butter for a lot of industries. I mean, we are all receiving reports, if not at very minimum, our monthly bank statements via email or via phone nowadays. So business intelligence actually was born in the reporting world, more or less. I would say it was in the 90s. Some people argue earlier, but that's together with SQL databases where reporting came out, and it was all about producing a static read that was distributed at push to everyone to see the data and have a good understanding of what's happening in our businesses. But as it happens with technology and evolution, there's always a vendor, there's always a movement where we try to innovate and make it much more richer and interactive. And that's where BI came to fruition. I would say the BI that I know and we know here very well, with interactive dashboards. And Click, Tableau, and others pioneered the ability not just to look at a report in a static format, but explore, filter, drill down, and see your data in almost in near real time in an exploratory way to understand it, to find insight in your data, to ultimately explore and make better business decisions. But as it is, very, very often with such kind of vendors, they're trying to introduce a new way of doing things. They're trying to educate the market. This is the way forward. Forget about the past. So there's been a lot of marketing campaigns around trying to kill the BI, the static reporting use cases with PDF and Excel, even though we know the commercial reality looks completely different. Yes, we want interactive dashboards that I can slice and dice my data in, but I also do want my static reporting here. And where Astrato has been, and not just Astrato, many other vendors today, is they're also trying to innovate dashboards to take it to a next step further and introducing elements such as workflows with an actionable read and write. We are coining the term data apps. You probably are hearing it a lot in the Snowflake world as well. It's no longer about reading data, but also writing data back into it. The one thing I personally do not like, again, to reiterate around technology vendors, is they say the new thing, the new way is the way forward. Forget about the past. Stop doing the past. But I don't think that's fair. I don't think that is right. And in reality, this is not reflects how people use data on a given basis. So I don't think necessarily, yes, there's some element of evolution there, but I don't think you should stop disregarding the past. I think it has a very valid format. And same like Burger King made a very aggressive campaign around the burger market, have it your way. I think that flexibility and customization to offer organizations like yourselves to have your solution, your BI reporting solution, to achieve any kind of outcome that you personally want, regardless if it's the right way or not right way. I don't think there's a right way. The minute you look at your data in the way you want it, it's a win. And this is how we think about Astrato. So instead of trying to bring you in a new way of doing analytics, we want to give you a unified experience. Have it your way. You want dashboards, you get dashboards. You want next level data applications, you can have it in Astrato. But also, very, very important, you want static reports either on an ad hoc basis or on a scheduled basis. you should have it. And that's what we've done with Astrato, a multi-model analytics experience in one single unified flow. And of course, all of that reading and reporting of data that sits with you in your data cloud. Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery, and many other vendors, as you can see at the logo below. So analytics should be the way you want it. So have it your way with Astrato. So moving away a little bit from the slides here, and we're going to go a bit more further. Standard reporting is classic, right? And probably everyone here on the call has a dashboard where they filter down, they're slicing and dicing the metrics so they can see them, reflecting the selections to get a better understanding of the business. And let's say as an executive of our organization, I love that. I get an almost actual view of my business. I can answer questions whenever I want in more detail. But sometimes, and this is a valid use case, is I want to share my dashboard with the board. Now, I don't want them to come into here. I want to have the ability to give it out to them. So as a matter of fact, what do? I can come here and export the sheet as an image or a PDF if I wanted to, and then send it via email to them. Or sometimes, the data is not in exactly the right format. I want to do some slicing and dicing, but I want to prepare the report in a specific Excel format that either is a template or has been organized in a specific form. That's where I need to come in here and perhaps export my data to Excel, such as having an output such as this one, so I can then use the data coming from a BI solution to then generate a much more customized report. Now, if that happens more than once and that happens on a regular basis, well, why do I need to do this every time when I come in? What if I can just schedule it via an email? So how about instead of going to a dashboard, here's the report generated for me. Instead of going to the dashboard, how about I can just schedule a specific report that arrives to me via email on a daily basis? So this is an example that has been produced in Astrato, an email that's been produced with a screenshot in here. So I don't even have to go to Astrato. I can actually see directly on my phone in a very quick way over here. And not just a screenshot with a link to the dashboard if I want to continue exploring further, but maybe even a more specific report that goes slice by slice in a PDF format, which is neatly organized. Now you see here, we have a couple of tables and templates that have been generating using Astrato, which is great on PDF format, but sometimes I want to see in Excel, and we support exactly the same thing. So if I were to download the same report here, you would see, if I open this, that I didn't just get like a snapshot sent to me via email, but I also have the ability to get it here in a neatly organized report in different kind of sheets. You see here dashboard, income, balance sheet statement, and all of that automatically produced to you with Astrato. So you know what? Yes, we love dashboards, but we also love like a monthly report or a weekly report sent to us via an email that can be distributed at scale to a very wider audience. So the push versus pull is something very, very interesting that reporting solves for you. Now, I illustrated earlier today that I can create a screenshot as well. Now, where Astrato becomes quite powerful is that it doesn't just generate a screenshot if you want to, but it can apply some logic, such as, for example, if I apply certain filters here for certain organizations, I want to create a report for all these countries that is then collated together in a one single report on an ad hoc basis. All I got to do here is generate report, press a button, take a couple of seconds, but I've done the work here behind the scenes already, which will generate now a page by page for each of my filter selections, an individual report for a certain region on an ad hoc basis. So imagine I select different regions, it will look completely different. So you can support that one as well, which is a very, very strong and valid use case. Last but not least, and this is where we become a little bit futuristic, but you see on the right-hand side here that I have an analysis that has been generated of the data that is currently within that particular page. That analysis is being produced by LLM GPT in the background, which is actually extremely powerful because it provides a technical analysis in prose, you see here on the right-hand side, to supplement and support the the consumption of that particular report. So if you want to blend automatically generated analysis into your report, you can easily do that combining Astrato dashboarding with the report insight generator and a classic standard PDF generator. So very extremely powerful use cases that I can use the dashboard for ad hoc screen sharing. I can schedule this on a weekly basis, monthly basis, so I can not just receive it on a automated way, but I can also include a much bigger, wider audience that doesn't typically go into dashboards. They're waiting for the dashboard and the data to come to them. Supported by AI-generated insight as a descriptor in the same output as the rest of your data. So a couple of very, very interesting use cases that can be achieved with that. That definitely makes my life as an executive much more easier, drives adoption in the organization, and last but not least, satisfies the user group that just wants to see a static report sent to them via email, which I think is not in contrast to what BI is. I think it is part of BI, and we definitely support that. And we'll show you how very, very shortly. So before I conclude with the demo itself, so coming back to the slide here. So what are some of the benefits that I've illustrated just now? Democratization of data, right? Instead of people going to the dashboard, they can receive the data in push, either via email, soon in the CAL, we show you the roadmap as well, also to their SharePoint or a folder that can be stored, which is brilliant, especially for offline access on the phone or when you're going right and left somewhere, or maybe on the plane, but more importantly also for compliance and archiving purposes, right? What were the data looking what was the data looking like, a year ago or 2 years ago? I think there are a lot of requirements there where we need to provide snapshots of historic data points for audit purposes and more. And last but not least, debatable point, right? The top right one, the fact that the reports get generated on a fixed time schedule, let's say once a month, it also means that all the discussions around the data is revolving around the same snapshot. It's great if dashboards are constantly updated and live, and typically that is always one of the strongest use cases of using dashboards. But sometimes, especially when you have an extremely wide audience who wants to understand data and discuss around data and make decisions on data, they should be doing that on the same kind of snapshot, and typically a monthly or maybe a weekly, maybe sometimes daily, would definitely help. Think about the inflation data that's being reported by the Federal Reserve. If that were reported on a daily basis, people would freak out if you see inflation jumping up and down. But once a month, a number, and I think that's a good reference point. So there is actually a good need for reporting use cases in BI and analytics. And lastly, these are kind of benefits of scheduled reporting. I'm not going to go too much into detail because you should see Carl's demo in more specific, where he's going to highlight some of these aspects. I do think the bottom right element of cost optimization, and this has been one of the main reasons why traditionally BI vendors have been against reporting, because if you distribute a report via email PDF, then you cannot charge for licenses. So actually, it's benefit to you as users and customers to deploy analytics and BI at scale within your organization if you can do that via scheduled reports. Of course, Astrato, we care about you getting the most value, so we are, of course, supporting that as well. So that is one of the things where I think it's a blind spot in the market, and we are tackling that with Astrato today and in the future as a strategic focus point. But before I get you excited more about some technical elements such as alerting, timeliness, automation, let me have you, Carl, walk you through from a creator, from a developer perspective, on what can be achieved with scheduled reporting and reporting in Astrato in one unified experience as your dashboarding and analytics. Results.
Thanks, Martin, for the introduction. And let's go over to Astrato again. So Martin showed how it looked like the exported report that was sent to him in an email. So this is the same dashboard that generated that with the same data. And this is an example of how the data apps that Martin talked about, where user can interact. So this one, for example, we have a workflow where you can adjust the amount, and we can also approve that amount. We can also then add a comment. So for example, I can write a comment here live, and it will be added to the table after it's been written back. So it will hopefully show up right about now. Yeah. And what's amazing when you have these approval processes is that, for example, you don't send the report until all of the adjustments or all the rows in this report has been approved. So, and I can show you how this looked like. And now I put in the hello webinar comment here. And if I generate the report, I have the option in this one to show both the as a PDF or as an Excel file directly. So I have a checkbox here if I want to do that. So in a couple of seconds, it will be generated, and here we have it. And this is the same report that Martin showed you earlier, but as you see, this is live data, and all the comments that was in this application also shows up in here. So you can create these amazing workflows with Astrato and then schedule these reports to go out. And I want to showcase how to achieve this. So the new approach that we do with the Excel templates that we'll release in the short term is that what you do is you create an Excel template first, and you upload that to Astrato and use that in your reporting. And we don't bring in Astrato into Excel, but we rather bring in Excel into Astrato. So you use standard Excel formulas, everything you know about. And if you have dummy data or like the previous month data in there, the report will look exactly the same as it will when it will be distributed. So no new templates, languages, or so on to learn, or no plugins to install. It's just standard Excel, and you upload that to Astrato. And then you automate the report with the Astrato actions. I will show you that in a moment, how that is done. And then the last step, you distribute it. So you set up a schedule when you want it to be generated and who will be the recipients. And we also have encrypted attachment, which is important to maintain the security that you have in Snowflake, for example. So if I go into to Astrato again, I will show you how to do this from the beginning. So say, for example, that I have a table in here, and I just need to bring up something. So if I have a table, and I will add some dimensions to this one. So I will add multiple ones here. So I add age range, churn category, churn reason, customer ID is good, internet type, and married. Why not? So here I have this table, and my boss wants this exported into a pivot so he can play with the data with some sliders and so on. So the first step for me is to export this to Excel, and that is really quick. So here I have it in Excel. So what I do is that I begin with creating a table, and my table has headers, and I will summarize this with the pivot table. This is super simple. So people out there that are really familiar with Excel, that I think most of you are, this is normal stuff for you. So I will add the customer ID as the count, and then I will add the age range, for example. And why not add internet type as the columns. And what I want to have is to create this mini dashboard in here. So let's add some slicers to this one. And let's just move them up and position them in a little bit nicer way. So here we have this pivot table with all the slicers that is needed. So what I do now is I save this one on my computer. And now I can go back to Astrato. So what I do is that I upload this template to Astrato. So if I drag this in from the screen, and I add it to the media gallery. One thing we need to do is that we need to add data to this. So I'm adding a variable.
One comment here, Carl, while you're doing this amazing walkthrough, I have very bad eyes, but is there any possibility you can zoom in a little bit so we can see this?
Absolutely, of course. I will do that.
So, much better. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I will create a string variable of the SQL type. And what I will do, since I can just right-click on this table that I have, and I can extract the SQL that generated this table. So if I do that, you see the table here, you get all the insights we have. You can even go into Snowflake and inspect the query. But I will just copy this one to the clipboard and then go into my variable again and then paste it in. And I can remove some of these that are not necessary. So the next step is also I need to have a button that triggers this. So I will create a button here on the screen, and I will name it download pivot. And I will make it a little bit larger. And then let's go into the actions. So the actions are where all the logic you have in Astrato resides. So for the standard reports that we already have today, where we take screenshots and export them as PDF, they are here. But what we're focusing on today is the Excel report. But the same concept works for the standard ones. So I drag in my report definition. What I want to do here is I will pick one of these that suits my need. So as you see, we have a lot of these new action blocks that are specific for Excel to manipulate an Excel template. The one I want to use now is the import data. And I will remove this one. And I will add that query that I just created with the data from that table. So I'll do that there. And I will also change this to replace in the table that I created. The default name is table 1. I didn't change that, so it will be that one that I created. I will also change it to the pivot template that I created. And what is great with this is that, for example, if you want to add some sort of alerting to this, that you only do this report if a certain condition is fulfilled. I can do something like this. And I will add one of the blocks to stop the report if this one is true. So I can, for example, get one of the data blocks here where we aggregate from churn table and say average. I don't know or maybe we can pick one that I actually know is a number, and we do a sum of this. So if this is bigger than 10,000, then we stop the report, or less, or something like that. So that's one way of doing the alerting. So I will remove this one. Another one that I can highlight is that it's not just pushing into the templates. It's also, we can read from the template. So we can get the value from a cell and act on that. For example, you can have configuration, like which regions should go into this report, for example. But we'll not do this today. And the next step is that we want to open the report with the click of the button. So I will use this block here. As you see here, we also have the send, where you can send on demand, and you can also distribute it to integrations that you set up, for example, S3 buckets or SharePoint that Martin mentioned. But for now, I will drag in the open report. Just make sure that the name of the report matches the one that you have created. And then I will create a trigger when the button that I created is clicked to open the report. So let's go back and preview this and hope that it works. So right now, here we have it. So if I click this one, it should now generate that report that I created previously with the slicers and all. So if I open it up, yeah, you will see it right here. So we have it, and my boss will be very happy with this report. If I go back and show you how this one is done, it's a little bit different than it's a little bit more complicated, but it's similar to what we actually had earlier.
Yeah, and just as a comment, right? I mean, once you've done it once, it's super easy to understand the logic and populate it further. The Excel template that Carl has just shown is unformatted, but if you pre-format it and upload it, it will just get populated with live data from the source at this case, yeah. And Snowflake behind the scenes.
So what's amazing with this one is that we have these images, and Excel doesn't have a sank chart, for example. But with this, we can now put in visualizations that Astrato has just with the screenshots. So this is quite powerful. And if we just take a look at how the template is done, is just doing standard Excel formulas and doing some sum ifs. And
yeah, I was about to say, can you zoom in a little bit? It looks very small.
Yeah. So what we do is that we replace data into this table. So it's the same example as I showed with the pivot. So if we go back, I will show you what we have in stored for the roadmap. So what's coming next? We have the PDF reports taking screenshots already. We're going to extend that and make them long running and improve upon the logging experience. We're also adding bookmark support throughout the product. So it's not just in reporting, but it works very well with reporting. So you also get the scroll state of charts, or for example, if you have a map, you also get where you are located on that map. And
maybe a quick question here maybe for the audience. Well, can you explain a little bit what a bookmark is in Astrato?
So the bookmark stores, you can decide what you want to store, but the default way is storing the filter state of the workbook where you are, and also the visualization states. So for example, if you have changed the order of columns in a pivot table, or if you have zoomed into Sweden or UK in a map, that will be preserved when you're running the report as well.
So bookmark is a way for users to save a combination of filters and filter values, and that then can be fed into the report. So the filters are applied before the report is being generated.
Yes. What I showcased, the send report action block, we're going to add that to the PDF, standard PDF report as well. And we're going to include the send to a drive, for example, S3 or Office 365 or SharePoint. And then the Excel template report is coming a bit later, where we're going to have what I showcased, and we're going to do the Excel export with PDFs and emails. We're also going to have the paginated tables with repeating headers that you saw in the exported report. That is super important, and something that when we showcase this to our customers, they are so happy to see that. As I said, short image inserts, and you're going to get a big speed improvement when you're just extracting the data and then inserting into Excel, compared to if you want to loop or taking 80 screenshots for a PDF. That will take a little bit longer than doing it with Excel. So can improve upon that as well.
So one question I have here, Carl, to the example that I showed earlier, where you literally went from 0 to a very basic template that's being generated on an ad hoc basis in a published dashboard or workbook. But I'm lazy. I don't want to go every time into the workbook itself to generate a report. So how do I set up a schedule in Astrato? Maybe you could show that as well.
Yes. So, and you can do this today. This is not coming in the roadmap. This is what we already have. So if you go into Astrato, you find it under the reporting section here. So if you click on that, you could create a new schedule, or you can see the schedules that has already been created. So for example, this one, the daily telecom one that I have created, was last run today, and it was a successful run. So if I go in and edit this one, you name your report that you have, you pick a workbook, and you pick which report you want to do. If you want to do an Excel export, from example, from a table, or if you want to do a report that will go in and take screenshots. And you pick the report that you have in that application. You can add multiple ones here. So if I want to have the PDF report and the Excel export, I can do that. Then
one question here, Carl. If I'm, as a CEO, if I want to get a daily summary of the sales dashboard, the marketing dashboard, the product roadmap dashboard, and the service support overview, I can set it up here and I'll get one collated email.
Yes, exactly. So you can even do it from combine multiple workbooks if you need to. The next steps is the body and the subject, and then you also set up the frequency. So you can have this sent out on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or on a monthly basis, or whatever frequency you like to have.
And there was a question here, what's the limitation? I mean, we have 1,000 people in the organization who should receive this on a daily basis. Will this work?
Of course. There will be no such limitations.
So as a comment here for everybody who's testing this in a POC, with limited to 100, just so we don't go too wild. We don't have anything to go exploding unadvertently, but we can unlock that. And look, guys, we're in the cloud. We're infinitely scalable. So there's, in theory, no limit on how often, how fast, and how frequent we can send out these reports. Again, within reason. So if you cancel here for a second, Carl, so if you have an organization and you empower your users to generate those reports and schedule them, as an admin, you'll always have this overview here of what's happening, what's being sent, where to, and which emails, which again can be tied to your single sign-on. So no external emails will be even allowed to be included in the scheduler. So you have full governance and admin capabilities on this, while enabling all your user groups to build the reports and to schedule them. So the best of both worlds, agility and control in one single view.
Exactly. So that was all I had to showcase.
So maybe before we go into questions, can you just summarize, Carl, like what are the benefits of scheduled reporting, like what you showed so far, from your view?
From my view, the thing that excites me the most is the automation, like having the entire workflow being automated, from generating, exporting, extracting the data, and then also distributing it. Like, it's a huge time saver. Just like I've been myself working generating these reports, so I know how time consuming it is to prepare and send out these reports, and you minimize the risk of human error as well. So if you set it up, validate it, it will just work and continue to work. So that is like the main one for me. And then I think alerting is really promising as well, where you only, because we are bombarded with information today. So you can set it up that you only get the information that is needed once it's needed. So to me, that is also interesting.
Right. And I think if I were to add what my favorite benefit of schedule reporting, especially in Astrato, is that it's the same solution where you have your dashboarding with already prepared data. You can now also use the same UI to generate reports, either of what you see or more special purpose. So you can use Astrato for multiple different modes of analytics. You don't have to build a data set with a different solution, reporting solution like Crystal Reports or SSRS, and then have a dashboard on the right-hand side in Astrato or another solution. You have one single platform where you can build your data once, build your analytics once, and then work around the different ways of how people want to consume the data, from live to static reports via email on an ad hoc basis in one single platform. And all the data is live from source, in this case, Snowflake. So when Snowflake updates, all the reports and the dashboards will reflect the same data in the same time. There's no batch, there's no lag, there's no asynchronicity in that entirely. Wonderful. Well, that's been from our side. We've been very, very excited to be working on this, and a couple of really, really powerful outputs can be achieved. Look, we've been working with reporting solutions ourselves, and printing, for example, in the past. We know what they're capable, but we also know their limitation, especially around ease of use. The fact that Carl just generated something very quickly there on the fly with the action blocks, if you can show them to us very quickly again, Carl. Is a fundament of the low-code philosophy of Astrato. We want to enable, everyone to be able to, without coding, without specialized knowledge, generate a successful output with very little hand-holding. If you're excited about what you see today, and you have a use case in mind, please do ping us. We would love to work with you on a POC to prove it out that this can actually be a very powerful and cost-effective solution for distributing data that resides in the cloud to your business stakeholders for active decision making. So yeah, if you saw what I like, reach out to us, astrato.io, or just send me a message on LinkedIn, or Carl. You have our emails as well. Yeah, we're very excited about this, and I don't want to oversell this, but what we've built here is the culmination and the aggregation of more than individually 10, 12 years of BI experience. So we've built a solution which I think solves the problem the best. So yeah, with this, we're looking forward to having you guys test it out and, getting data to your business in a very effective way.
Amazing.
Wonderful. So with this, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to present to you, and we'll see you soon. Please follow us on Astrato.